The Sportsmen round out a busy stretch of racing today on Speedway Showcase. It's our final trip to the Weedsport Speedway, and all the top Sportsman teams are here for this midweek show. The humidity has everyone racing to the ice cream line, but who will be the one to scoop up the 25-lap feature? We will find out next on Speedway Showcase.
The mercury continues to rise this summer, and so does the racing action, as we're back today here at the Weedsport Speedway for the third installment of the Beyea Headers Sportsman Series here on Speedway Showcase. Hello everyone, welcome back to our program. My name is Rich Fleck, and alongside me is Doug Elkins. And Doug, last time we were out with the Sportsman Classic, 75 laps was the feature distance. They're only racing a third of that here tonight.
Only 25 laps tonight, but the dog days of summer are here. It seemed like just a little while ago we were going, Mother Nature, please give us a break, give us a dry weekend. But the teams have been racing hard these past couple of months. Teams that were racing 2 and 3 times a week looking for valuable dirt car points are now racing once or twice. But one of the tracks they're going to make sure they include in that schedule is Weedsport. There's valuable points on the line, and Rich, there's still a lot of racing to go here.
That's right, third race in the last 16 days for these drivers right here at the port, but they're filling in the pit area here on this midweek show, so we'll send it down there right now and meet with the third member of our team, Paul Small.
After running a 75-lap distance during the Sportsman Classic last time here at Weedsport, tonight things are kind of getting back to normal. That means it's a 25-lap feature event distance, and it means that the stellar field, same quality as last time, has the work cut out for them. You have to be fast right from the timed hot lap sessions that seed the starting spots for the heat races to being able to get to the front in the heats and get into that redraw. You don't want to have to waste time coming from the back of the field when you only have 25 laps.
This is one of the nicest pit areas in all the area. First, because it's got nice amenities and it's flat, but boy, the cars are always awesome to see filling out in that pit area.
Yeah, and last time we had a chance to see 65 cars try to make it into the feature. So we knew by the time that feature rolled around, it was going to be some awesome action. It really was. Just making it in was quite the accomplishment the last time here in Weedsport, Rich.
That was just over a week ago, the Sportsman Classic. Let's look back at that great race that went 75 laps.
He's not going to watch for very long. He's going to take a shot at it.
And here he goes down to the inside, looking for the race lead. Marchicelli puts it down to the bottom, looks to slide up, and we've got a new race leader. Here as we complete lap number 14, it's the M1 of Dave Marchicelli. And we might have a battle for second as Warner's going after Glenn forward.
And Warner has been waiting for this opportunity. A little contact there. Forward goes up the track. That might cost him second spot.
It very well could, as the 1J of Rocky Warner drives to the inside. Will he try the slide job that we've seen him use all night long? He goes up the speedway and will make forward back out of it. So Warner is up into the number 2 spot. M1 got a little bit of a break there as Warner lost a lot of momentum, but here he comes to the inside.
Obviously the car's okay. You can see Marchicelli has changed his lineup considerably, and you know Rocky Warner was watching.
So here in his second race of 2017 at the Weedsport Speedway, he comes off at turn number 4 and for the second time wins the Sportsman Classic.
You could say the momentum is on the side of Dave Marchicelli after that win in the Sportsman Classic. You got to be pumped up for tonight, man.
Oh, I couldn't wait to come back here. You know, to win that race. You know, that's my big race of the year. That's my my Super Dirt Week, whatever you want to call it, Daytona 500 or whatever. That's the one that I want to win all year, and it felt good winning that.
Now we're back to what is the normal case here. Short sprint distance for the feature. How different was the preparation for tonight?
We brought same thing. I brought same setup and everything. It's just that definitely the redraw is a little bit definitely more important tonight because you don't have much time to get to the front. So that's what we're hoping for.
Dave Marchicelli's going for 2 in a row tonight.
And Marchicelli will have a good opportunity. Here he is out on the track right now for his timed hot laps. He'll be racing in heat race number 3. Our first of 4 qualifiers will be coming up on the other side of this break. Got a lot of racing to be done here tonight from Weedsport, so don't go anywhere. You're watching Speedway Showcase.
Backed by popular demand, it's the Labor Day Double Play at Weedsport Speedway, presented by Parts Plus and powered by Wix Filters on September 4th. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds make their final stop at the port in the 2017 season. The Northeast Best Sprint Car drivers will compete in the 360 Sprint Open, and the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series returns to Weedsport. This is the show you don't want to miss. See you at the port September 4th.
Hey Central New York, Haley Nixon here for the Used Car King, and I'm so excited to tell you about Sun's payment vacation event. When you buy a car from Sun this month, you'll make no payments for 90 days. Shop from over 1,000 vehicles, cars starting at $78.88, trucks and SUVs starting at $12,888, and minivans starting at $14,888. And those who qualify make no payments for 90 days. Come see us in Cicero, Cortland, or Chittenango for our payment vacation event, or shop online at usedcarking.com.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit weedsportproductions.com to secure your dates for 2017.
It's heat race time here at the Weedsport Speedway. 4 qualifiers rolling onto the racetrack for the Beyea Header Sportsman Series. Doug, the heat race format, the same as it always is. 4 races, top 5 make the show, top 3 make the redraw.
This was an open draw for this, and of course they ran time trials to determine the lineup. Todd Root, who's run a lot of races in Central New York, just hasn't won one here yet. He'll start on the pole.
No, he struggled in the first 2 races here, so looking for a little bit better result. Here tonight, a lot of drivers coming in for the first time this season, so they're going to be up against it. A few of the drivers in the back will have some work to do. Again, the top 5 make it into the redraw, or top 5 make it into the show, top 3 into the redraw. In this first of 4 qualifiers for the Sportsman, Todd Root gets on the gas with Dylan Zacharias to the outside, and we are underway.
And of course, we mentioned about the top 3. That's really where you want to be. 4 and 5 get you into the show, but with 4 qualifying heat races, 4th place car in this heat will start 15th. So they got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, the battle right now is on for 4th and 5th as Tyler Thompson has the current spot right now, but closing in is the Casey Pavlik 18P. And he's not able to get that. Behind that, a good battle for 6th on back. Dave Schilling getting by Jessica Power.
Yeah, Jessica Power comes all the way down from Canada, and she has been very good at this track. Had a peak there at the battle for the lead, but this is 6th place. This is just 1 spot out of a qualifier. Schilling runs out in Albany, Saratoga area, out in the Capital District, and like we said, Power down from Canada as we see positions 3, 4, and 5 right here.
Power is down from Canada, but she does run regularly in Central New York, so it's not a surprise for her to be here, and you still see 4th, 5th, and 6th as Tyler Thompson hanging out of that spot with the 18P of Pavlik closing in quick.
Tyler Thompson, a second year in the Sportsman division, came up through the go-karts and still does a lot of go-kart racing in the area. They were down King of the Concrete, big race down in North Carolina a while ago, and you guys know this guy Casey Pavlik runs down at a place you used to run down there at Outlaw Speedway.
And he doesn't run it as much right now. He does not run a whole lot of races this year the way his work schedule has gone, and because of that, he's had 2 starts at Woodhull, maybe 1 start at Outlaw Speedway and 1 start here at Weedsport, so it's been very limited as he runs back in position number 5. But out in front, it's Todd Root in the 15. Todd finished 24th and 13th here so far this season. However, he is the Fulton Speedway points leader.
And notice how some of that body work around the hood area doesn't match.
Yeah.
He was in a bad crash at Can-Am a few weeks ago. Actually had another car ended up on top of him. He borrowed some parts from Larry White. That's why those red pieces are on there.
And that's why it says 99L.
Yes.
Dylan Zacharias still runs in position number 2. Dylan, a driver that runs Skyline regularly on Friday night and is 6th in points there. He's safely in the redraw, as is Willie Decker Jr., the top 3 with 1 lap left to go.
Yeah, and you were just talking about Zacharias. He actually runs down there with his sister. That's why he went down there, because they have a novice division on the Friday night. He wanted them both to be at the same track, but not looking like a novice right now, as he's in good shape as we watch 4th and 5th.
Yeah, looks like Casey Pavlik's taking that spot from Tyler Thompson as Todd Root gets the win. Zacharias and Decker also will make the redraw. That's why you see the check mark on the right-hand side.
And again, Pavlik, so let me say, I think I said 15th earlier. Actually, he'll start 14th, and then 5th place car back behind him will start 4 positions back of him in 17th.
So let's go through these results again. We show the top 5 there. Dave Schilling, who had to come from the last chance race, finishes 1 spot out. You'll see him in the consi just a little while later. Meanwhile, let's go down to the pits right now and hear from the heat winner, Todd Root.
Todd, good run in the heat race. Tell me about the car.
The car's pretty good right now. We came here with a new setup this time, and it seems to be working pretty good and have some good speed in the car.
Getting a little congratulations there from one of the crew. Do you think the track's going to stay together the way it is in the heats now for the feature?
I think so. At least halfway through our feature, I think it's going to start to slicken out, but there should be some pretty good bite left out there, I would imagine.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of bite out there, and pretty similar to what we've seen in the past few weeks. That could be a good sign for Kevin Ridley, one of the drivers going for the points championship. He's on the front row along with Will Shields, who had a third 2 weeks ago.
And look at that second row that we saw. Rocky Warner and Ronnie Davis, the third, couple of guys that win a lot of races out in this area. And Marty Kelly at the back of the pack. First time for him at Weedsport this year.
That's right, driver out of Vermont, so another state represented. Yeah, that second row is really key. RD3 Ronnie Davis, second in points last year. Rocky Warner to the outside is the champion from last year. And those two drivers were not great in their heat races last week, and that's probably what kept them out of getting the win in the Sportsman Classic. Kevin Ridley won the opening night, though, and he leads in turn number 1.
Canandaigua regular runs out at the big, flat, slick half-mile track, and boy, he got a really good start this time.
Yeah, the youngster Will Shields settles into second. Meanwhile, Ronnie Davis, the third, down to the inside, and Nick Kraus makes a move on Rocky Warner. Warner goes back to 5th.
Ooh, contact down the front straightaway, and I believe that Davis that Shields may have a problem as he's pulled high on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's going to fall back. Jackson Gill now moving to the inside. That for the 5th and final transfer position as Will Shields goes back to 6th. Meanwhile, for the third spot, here comes the flying squirrel. That's Rocky Warner down to the inside, gets by Nick Kraus.
Out from Sprakers, New York, runs as a professional in the Sportsman division. That's all he does for a living. Had a big health scare back in the spring of 2016. Came back a little bit late, but he is focused and ready to go, and right now sitting in that final redraw spot.
He's into the double digits of wins this year. It's at least a dozen. I kind of lost count because he's won at so many different racetracks it's hard to follow. But right now he is chasing down Ronnie Davis III for the number 2 spot. Meanwhile, behind them, a good battle, 4th, 5th, and 6th. And it's side by side for the final transfer spot. And Shields has got Jackson Gill back.
Yeah, he got him right there, and that's a big move right there. Nick Kraus, the 24, Fulton regular, just ahead of him, the epitome of a family team. But whatever was wrong with Shields' car, looks like it's fixed itself as he's ready to challenge for that spot.
Yeah, it looked like he just got out of shape. And Doug, these Sportsman cars, so much about momentum. If you lose it, boy, the freight train will go right on by.
And of course, we didn't mention it yet, but crate engines in these cars, GM crate engines, right around 350 horsepower, 9-to-1 compression. So you want to keep them revved up. If you have to get off, like what happened to Gill there earlier, where he had to get off the gas, it can cost you a lot.
RD3 drives up the racetrack. Boy, it has really been a struggle for him here. Probably not the results he was looking for. 20th and 6th in the first 2 shows, but looking comfortable behind Kevin Ridley. Ridley has won heat races in the first 2 competitions of the Beyea Header Sportsman Series for 2017 here at Weedsport, and he's looking to go 3 for 3 in that very bright 20X.
Boy, he's been a good car at Canandaigua, but he's been a great car here in Weedsport, and he's going to get the win in the second qualifier.
Comes across the line over 2 top guns. RD3 and Rocky Warner make it into the redraw. Into the show, Nick Kraus, and Jackson Gill gets Will Shields back.
So good run for Kraus and Gill, and Shields, who started out front. He's got to have to run the consolation race. A little disappointed there, but a great run out front for the 20X, who, again, has been magic so far this year. And we're talking, of course, about Kevin Ridley.
And again, he's the only driver with 3 heat race wins now. He's the only one that even had a chance to do that. And that means we're going to go down to victory lane again and hear from him. He's in the pits.
Kevin Ridley picking up the heat win tonight. The car looked flawless.
Yeah, it's really good again. I don't know. I think we just lucked out getting the setup here past three weeks, and we've raced here. We've been really good.
More importantly, this puts you in the redraw. How critical is that going to be tonight?
It's going to be very critical tonight. I think the track's going to stay pretty good. Starting towards the front is going to help.
That's Kevin Ridley, winner of heat number 2.
So for the 3rd race in a row, Kevin Ridley guarantees himself a top 12 starting position by qualifying for the redraw. Who will join him? Well, we've got 2 more heat races left to figure that out, and they're coming up on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. You're watching Speedway Showcase.
Make this spring all about enjoying the experience. When you ride on your new Ferris commercial mower, Featuring patented suspension technology, you'll have more than freshly manicured grass. You'll experience productivity and comfort like never before. And because you won't be slowing down for those rough spots, you'll mow more lawn in less time. Ferris, experience suspension.
You wanted the best? They're coming four abreast. It's the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. The premiered winged warriors battle it out. The World of Outlaws Superstars. The greatest show on dirt is coming. The Empire State Challenge is coming to Weedsport Speedway with the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. Sunday, October 15th. Don't miss out on the high-speed action in Weedsport, New York. Tickets on sale now at weedsportspeedway.com.
Your kids are off to college. You inherit two big dogs. You need an SUV. How about a like-new Chevy Equinox? $60 a week. All polished up and good to go today. 1 hour delivery. Billy Whitaker's. Let me tell you about my first-time buyer's plan. You have a true zero score, you make over $1,000 a month, and you're on the job for more than 6 months? Good. You qualify. And you can be driving today. $40 a week and you're good to go today.
We're halfway through the qualifiers here at the beautiful Weedsport Speedway, just off the New York State Thruway for the Beyea Sportsman Series. And this heat race number 3, Taylor Caprara and Dave Marchicelli on the front row. Marchicelli in that M1 was the most recent winner right here in the Sportsman Classic a week ago.
And we have some drivers at the back of the field that we haven't seen much. Charlie Tibbetts normally runs on Sundays, so he was able to make it here. Also, the 111. I mean, this is a car from out in Ransomville. Brent Senek making the trip. This is a good 2.5, 3 hour trip for him to come here today.
And he's one of the few drivers to be here for the first time. He starts in third, and he will chase after Taylor Caprara, who was quickest in this group. Marchicelli runs in spot number 2, and Senek looks to the inside.
Looking out the back of Dave Marchicelli here, as you can hear him hit that rev chip. The motor's not running incorrectly. They have a rev chip, keeps the motor from over revving and allowing them not to throw too much gear at the car at the same time.
And that's only 6,000 RPM.
That's it. And of course, these motors do fall off a little bit. And you can hear as you listen to the motor there, it will get right up there, but right now we got a battle up front. Caprara runs at the big half mile, and back behind them, here's a battle for third as well. That's Tommy Collins down in the bottom.
Yeah, Collins looks to the inside. He's the current Thunder Mountain points leader, while Senek runs third in the Ransomville points. They're side by side for that position off the corner. Again, this for the redraw, so this is a big deal with the 3-digit cars.
And Collins normally runs, like you said, down south of 81, and most of the places down there run a totally different manufacturer. It's an American Racer tire, so he's still learning these Hoosier tires that they run up in central New York.
And Collins goes around Senek, punting him down in turn number 1 and 2. And for the first time tonight, we are under the yellow flag.
Collins facing the wrong way there, and so they'll get that thing straightened out and get him going. 2-speed transmission. They'll go to low gear to get it going, then flip it up to high.
Can't feel like he's too happy about that. And actually, he's driving after Senek, and I think he couldn't catch up to him. He was like a barking dog at that point that got to the end of the leash. But he'll get it turned back around, and we'll take a look here on our replay as they went into the corner. And, Senek just got in there very hot. It didn't look like he had a pass set up there, Doug. Maybe he didn't expect Collins to break that much?
Yeah, and sometimes, you get a little confused on where the front of the bumper is. It did not look intentional, but the contact, it doesn't matter if it's intentional. If you're the one that made the contact, you go to the back.
And Senek will go to the back and join Collins after that incident for the restart. Earlier today, we're talking about those rev chips. We had Paul Small file this Tech Minute.
Sportsman cars that compete at Weedsport Speedway have to run a rev limiter chip for these GM 602 crate motors. That means they can only turn a maximum of 6,000 RPM. So how do you enforce that? Well, this handy little MSD device is the key because it's got an LED readout that shows what the maximum RPMs were that were turned. When the cars come off the racetrack, the tech inspectors will lean over and look down inside and be able to see that LED readout. It also has a memory function for longer distance races so they can determine the highest RPM in a longer distance race.
And I tell you, that car that Paul was just by is running pretty good right now. Taylor Caprara out in front, 3 laps in, 5 still left to go.
And that was Bob Podowick doing the tech, an old modified driver from back in the day who knows a few things. Knows a few things about these cars, so it's nice to have a guy like that with experience down there running the tech.
And they
are side by side as Marcuccelli looks to the outside. Drivers prefer the inside line for restarts here in the Sportsman, but boy, if you can get your momentum built up, you can do something. Look at Trump gets into the side of Marcuccelli, and Marcuccelli drives right back down on the 9X.
Yeah, he said, I didn't like that move. I think you might want to try that one again. So Trump, the teenager, going up against Marcuccelli there, and really they're both going to make the redraw anyway, so sometimes it's better to just, save that move for the feature maybe.
And here we go again, this time for 5th place. Senek drives back underneath Tommy Collins, so right now the 111 would be in the show. Well, the 713 of Collins would have to go to the Consi along with Brian Calabrese, who is right behind him in the 21C.
But he's already made up some spots, and I've always said anger is worth 15 horsepower, so he might be able to get him. Senek doesn't know this track very well, runs at Ransomville, like we said, which we've been to earlier this year, tight paperclip track, but he's doing his best to try to protect that spot right now as we get a peek at the leaders.
Yeah, he does have one win at the Big R so far this season as the M1 closes back in. And again, nothing more than bragging rights in a victory lane interview here on Speedway Showcase for the winner. But Marcuccelli's going to pressure the 21 headed down the backstretch for the final time.
Yeah, they could have a bucket of apples, like we said. They just want to race here, want to try to get him. But right about now, Marcuccelli's saying, yeah, I'm not going to catch him. I might as well just finish the race.
Taylor Caprara gets the win over Marcuccelli. Trump, Prentice, and at the line, Brent Senek will get himself back in there by 4/100ths of a second.
That's close racing right there. Good run for the guy they call T-Bone. Runs the Harley-Davidson dealerships, and for Caprara, you sell cars, and he's real good at it.
Yeah, he was motoring on that one without an issue, and that's a lot better run than he's been doing here earlier in the year when he had to come through the Consi. He's down in the pits with Paul Small.
Taylor Caprara grabbing the win here in our third Sportsman he raced of the night. You had to hear somebody behind you, Taylor.
Yeah, Dave was definitely there. I saw him on the Megatron every lap we went by, and just trying to hold on to it. We felt really free. I thought we could free up the car a little bit for the heat, but we definitely got to work for that for the future, and hopefully we can get tightened up and go out and go for gold. So,
Taylor Caprara, heat winner tonight.
So Caprara does his job holding off Sportsman Classic winner Dave Marcuccelli and making his way into the redraw. 5 more tickets to be punched in the final heat race, which is coming up right after this.
Hey, Central New York, Haley Nixon here for the Used Car King, and I'm so excited to tell you about Sun's Payment Vacation event. When you buy a car from Sun this month, you'll make no payments for 90 days. Shop from over 1,000 vehicles, cars starting at $78.88, trucks and SUVs starting at $12,888, and minivans starting at $14,888. And those who qualify make no payments for 90 days. Come see us in Cicero, Cortland, or Chittenango for our Payment Vacation event, or shop online at usedcarking.com.
Backed by popular demand, it's the Labor Day Double Play at Weedsport Speedway, presented by Parts Plus and powered by Wix Filters on September 4th. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds make their final stop at the port in the 2017 season. The Northeast Best Sprint Car drivers will compete in the 360 Sprint Open, and the Dirt Car Pro Stock Series returns to Weedsport. This is the show you don't want to miss. See you at the port September 4th.
Weedsport Productions is the live video production company that you need at your next event. Our mobile production truck is outfitted with the most advanced broadcast equipment in the industry. Weedsport Productions covers racing, live sporting events, corporate events, and concerts. We can broadcast your event live, stream it to the internet, or produce an exciting in-venue experience for your audience. Visit WeedsportProductions.com to secure your dates for 2017.
One more heat race left to go for the Sportsman Series here on a beautiful midweek show here at the Weedsport Speedway. And one more chance for drivers to make it into the redraw or just into the show in the top 5. And you got some heavy hitters that are going to have some work to do from the middle of the pack, Doug.
And a little bit of a surprise is there at the front. Ben Wheeler with a good qualifying run. He doesn't run a lot. He's a crew chief on the Rich Scolata car. That's that yellow 99 that you see right there. Zach Sabatka, another one of those teenage racers. He came up from quarter midgets. He could be fun to watch here, too.
And we're riding on board with Corey Barker looking out the back. But first, he's got to go forward starting in 6th. And we've got an issue as Sabatka gets stacked up, and Corey Barker's going to be involved as well. So before we even get a lap in, Sabatka goes from the outside of the front row to the back
and it looked like Matt Guerri got into the back of him in the 12G. And
could have been a lot worse, though, Rich. I mean, anytime you get turned in front of the field like this, it could be bad. And nice job, everybody, by missing him. Corey Barker, the only one to have contact.
That's one of those situations where you can't wait for the guy in front of you to really figure it out. You got to keep going, and if the car's turned at all, it'll turn them around. Barker just slamming on the brakes, but Sabaka, it looks like a little bit larger damage for him in the 38. So as he gets towed away, the power is so even. We've talked about that, but what is the other big element in Sportsman racing?
Say the chassis setup.
Shocks and tires.
You know what? Tires are really key. They're the only 4 points that touch the ground, so you really have to start from there.
I gotta believe keeping the car free with stagger. I think that seems to be the most important for our team. If we can keep the car rolling, not getting too tight, seems to help us a lot.
I think the biggest element on our cars is shocks today. There's a lot of shock technology.
Your shock program has to be up to snuff to be able to rotate the car and keep up your speed and your corner speed and then your drive off.
The shocks we run on the car are Fox shocks. Michael Walton and Bruce down at Fastline, they do a great job in putting an excellent shock package under us.
You know, he mentioned his shock guy there, and every one of these guys now has somebody that they go to. And it used to be, you know, you'd play with stagger, you'd play with gears, things like that. But I agree with those last three drivers we talked to. Shock's probably the most important thing right now.
At least in the Sportsman racing, you got to be on your game with that. And that's where the money is a little bit more variable. Ben Wheeler will again lead Kevin Root. Root's going to give him a little bit of a go on the outside of the racetrack, but it will be the 99 getting back out in front. Wheeler was a heat race winner here last week in the Sportsman Classic.
And the Todd Root you heard earlier, this is his brother. They don't race together on Saturday nights for obvious reason. They want to beat each other up. But
Nick and Matt Guerri do.
Well, they do, yeah. They got a whole bunch of people in their team. Kevin Ridley actually out of the same shop as Den, who we saw just a little while ago. But those
here you
two
see the
right
brothers
here,
battling for third.
They race each other very hard.
Yes,
Gibbs, they call, that's the 12 car there. That's Matt. That's just his nickname. I never really found out why, but they're going to race each other hard. But Nick here might have something for Kevin Root.
Yeah, Nick Guerri down to the inside. Kevin Root running through the middle. Root runs up at the Can-Am Speedway, where he is in the top 3 in points, but right now runs in spot number 2. And as we talked about, Ben Wheeler out in front. We don't have a track for him to call home other than Weedsport. He runs Weedsport.
I think that's maybe the only place that he's run so far this year, because a lot of times Super Dirt Car Series, he's got to be there working. As we look a little bit back, this a big race here. As Earl Rudy's in the final qualifying spot, trying to catch him is Corey Barker. These two know each other well. They race at the same tracks, Brewer and Fulton, so this could be a good battle.
And Corey Barker was third in the Sportsman Classic last week, and he goes down towards the inside barricades, and he starts sliding in the middle of the corner. That's never a good sign, but it looks like he's going to be able to slide up in front of Rudy and take away spot number 5. And Barker, you talk to him, he's been great in the features, but qualifying and getting up into the top 3 or 4 to make himself redraw eligible has been his Achilles heel here in the early part of the season.
His dad, John, of course, one of the top guns on the old outlaw circuit. They ran alcohol and big drag rubber on those cars back in the day, and that's the background that Corey has as we look at third place there, the Nick Guerri car.
So Kevin Root still going after Ben Wheeler. They come around to the white flag, one more lap left to go. Kevin Root, the driver of the number 34 here in this final qualifier, and Ben Wheeler both had a heat win last week in the Sportsman Classic. He's got a chance, thinks better of it though, and up to the top goes Wheeler, opens up the door, but I thought he'd have the momentum.
Got to run.
That's Wheeler.
And I think that little wiggle that you saw from Root coming out of 2 made the difference right there.
And back to the line, Corey Barker will get that final transfer position as the 99 of Ben Wheeler 2 weeks in a row wins a qualifier and gets himself into the field. The driver out of Genoa, New York, who, as we said, is a crew chief for the most part of the season, does not run as much as these other guys do, but did a great job to make himself another heat win, and he's down in the pits with Paul Small.
Ben Wheeler wins our final Sportsman heat race of the night. Ben, you held off some big dogs behind you.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened right on the start there. Unfortunate those couple guys got taken out. I was in the same situation here last week. I had a good time trial, started up front in the heat, made some bad adjustments last week for the feature, so we're going to try to come back and do a little better this time.
Ben Wheeler wins our final Sportsman heat race this evening.
Well, with the heat race is now complete, 20 passes are now secure into the 25-lap feature, but 6 tickets still remain, and a host of teams will be going for those final few spots in the consolation race, which is coming up right after this. Intermission time here at the Weedsport Speedway, and always a packed crowd on hand taking in some of the festivities. We just had the consolation race a moment ago and got the final 6 passes into tonight's feature event. So let's take a look and see how that race went down. Early on, Dave Schilling and Tommy Collins would duke it out for the race into turn number 1.
Yeah, remember Collins had sent to the back after the contact. Positions 21 through 26 on the starting grid is what's going to be decided here. And this was a pretty good race early on.
Yeah, exactly. You had Schilling, who won the last chance race here a week ago and parlayed that into a 9th place finish in the feature.
Well.
He fell back in a second as Collins got out in front. Meanwhile, Zach Sabatka, after his crash in heat race number 4, had his early troubles fading back. But check out this hit. Eric Williams and Charlie Tibbetts come together. Marty Kelly nowhere to go in the 21 VT. And that would bring us under yellow. And that would give Zach Sabatka in the 38 an opportunity to get himself back together and start going forward again.
Yeah, 'cause it's easy to get down on yourself. I mean, the thing that happened in the heat wasn't his fault, that little bounce there. So sometimes a caution can come out just when you need it to get you in a show, and that's what happened here for Zach Sabatka.
And again, we say the top 6 make the show. The drivers are only guaranteed the top 4 as it's put up on the board, so they didn't know that the 6 are going to be taken. It has to do with provisionals and how much they're willing to put in.
Top
but look at
5
Sabatka.
in points always get in, so yeah.
Sabatka moving to the inside of Will Shields to get up into the number 3 spot. And again, every pass you make is another spot. You don't have to worry about passing in the feature. And then you had Brian Calabrese, who was on the bubble in that black 21 seed, looking good. He missed his marks in 3 and 4, and then really missed it in 1 and 2. That opened up the door for Earl Rudy.
And Earl Rudy has been running at this track for at least 10, 15 years, knows that the bottom and 2 is where you want to be a lot of times.
And he would get that final transfer spot. While out in front, it was Tommy Collins driving away to win the Consi in comfortable fashion, while Schilling, Sabatka, and Shields rounded out the top 4.
Tom Collins Jr., you had to do it the hard way, but you're in the show.
Yeah, really wanted to make it through the heat race. Just got in a little incident there, and car got tight on me towards the end. Been having a problem with this new car. Worked a little bit better there, so we'll keep digging, and we'll see what we can do for the feature.
Tom Collins Jr. wins the Sportsman consolation race.
So Collins is into the show, and some T-shirts are being sent up into the grandstands, getting everybody up on their feet. Earlier tonight, we had one of our young race fans help us out by posing this week's popular kid question.
Hi, I'm Tyler. My favorite race movie is Talladega Nights. Hey drivers, what's your favorite movie?
Days of Thunder.
Talladega Nights.
Days of Thunder. Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
Probably Days of Thunder. I love Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
Any particular scene?
Probably, there's a few. Probably when they come in, when he wants to come in for a pit stop, and he says, no, we're eating ice cream because I like to eat ice cream. And then the other one would be when he comes in and says, go out and hit the pace car. You hit everything else might be perfect, go out and hit the pace car. So those are probably the favorite 2.
I would have to say the thing where he tells them that to hit the pace car. I would say I think everybody loves that.
Days of Thunder has got to be when they're building the car in the shop, when he's reshaping the car. Then or out in the barn.
I think the part where his pit crew says he can't come in to change tires because they're having ice cream.
There are plenty of crew members here tonight eating ice cream down in the pavilion with the hot temperatures, combined with the great selection available here at Weedsport. The drivers are strapped in for the feature, so let's go back down to Paul and hear from the pole sitter.
Well, the guy that drew the number 1 starting spot is Nick Guerreri. Last time we ran a feature here at 25 laps, it went green to checker. I'm thinking you'd probably like to see that again.
Yeah, that would be nice. I need all the help I can get to stay up here. We got a good starting spot, so hopefully we'll keep it here and not go backwards.
How do you think the track is going to come around over the course of a 25-lap race?
Track's looking really good right now. There's a good solid bottom line and then a top line, a little bit slick in the middle. So that's what we like with the Sportsman cars. They can move around a couple grooves.
Nick Guerreri starts P1. He hopes to finish there, too.
Well, in order for Guerreri to get the win here tonight, he's going to have to hold off 25 very fast competitors lined up right behind him. They're going to roll off for the 25-lap feature coming up on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. You're watching Speedway Showcase.
Your kids are off to college. You inherit two big dogs. You need an SUV. How about a like new Chevy Equinox? $60 a week. All polished up and good to go today. 1 hour delivery. Billy Whitaker's. Let me tell you about my first-time buyer's plan. You have a true zero score, you make over $1,000 a month, and you're on the job for more than 6 months? Good, you qualify. And you can be driving today. $40 a week, and you're good to go today.
You wanted the best? They're coming four abreast. It's the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. The premiered winged warriors battle it out. The World of Outlaws Superstars. The greatest show on dirt is coming. The Empire State Challenge is coming to Weedsport Speedway with the World of Outlaws Craftsman Sprint Cars. Sunday, October 15th. Don't miss out on the high-speed action in Weedsport, New York. Tickets on sale now at weedsportspeedway.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, you came looking for a show. Well, here you go.
It's the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals coming to the Ohsweken Speedway, an event with incredible car counts, legendary names steeped in history. Friday night, the action-packed Burger Barn night before the Nationals. Saturday, the $12,000 to win A-Main. Don't miss Canada's biggest sprint car race.
Let's end all the anticipation as we bring to you the feature presentation.
Welcome back to the Weedsport Speedway. It's feature time for the Beyea Header Sportsman Series as they roll out onto the racetrack for their 25-lap feature event. The dirt has been a little interesting here tonight. For more on that, let's send it back down trackside once more and hear from Paul Small, who filed this report just a moment ago.
Most of the drivers at Weedsport will tell you that turn one is probably the toughest turn on this track to negotiate because you're actually dropping down in on the bottom of the racetrack, and then the banking starts to come up as you work your way through turn number two. Now, you can run the bottom, but you really need to pinch the car off to do that. The middle is usually the preferred lane. Here's the problem if you get up too high on this racetrack in turn one. There's a little bit of a crown where the banking falls away, and it could put you straight into those barrels.
And we've seen a few people over the years go up into that barrel. And the other thing, too, Rich, is sometimes the cushion, the little ridge at the top, gets right up next to the wall. It makes it too far around where you lose space or lose time that way.
And we'll see how that plays out. Some of these drivers starting on the bottom that like to run up on the top will have to take a few laps to get themselves in that position. Kevin Ridley, the winner of the first race here this season, starts back in ninth. Again, that's all a product of the redraw. The top 12, almost half the field, is drawn out of a hat, effectively, for their starting position. Now, 21st on back are the drivers from the Consa. You just saw Tommy Collins and Dave Schilling in that recap we had in our last segment. Well, Jessica Power and Earl Rudy sneak their way into the show. 26 cars ready to go 25 laps here in the third Beyea Header Sportsman Series event of 2017. Our sign impressions race setup brought to you right here.
Yeah, restarts double file. That's pretty much across the board. Used to be they'd go up to halfway, then go single file, but a lot of these big events, they do that now. And $1,000 might not sound like a lot for some of you folks, but for the Sportsman division, that's a pretty good payday right there.
So the white flag is out. Dave Farney, the master of traffic control, is giving them the white flag in the air and showing them we're going around next time. Great drone shots here up atop the beautiful D-shaped oval Weedsport Speedway. This track's so tricky, especially there in turn number one, and it could be the key here. Again, the drivers like being on the bottom for the restarts, but the top can be very equal, and we'll see what Kevin Root can do up there. He started on the outside of the front row in his heat race as well. The track has changed, and we're green out of turn number 4. The Sportsman Series is underway.
And Nick Guerreri hopes he sees that the whole race, the whole field back behind him. He's got the preferred groove on this initial start, so he'll grab the lead on the backstretch here. As you can see, Kevin Root, the blue car, just behind him, and that's Rocky Warner on the bottom.
Yeah, Warner looks to the inside of Root for the number 2 spot as they complete lap number 1.
Love that shot.
Yeah, drivers having to pinch the car off as turn number 4 gets a little bit tight there as they rumble down the only straight part of this racetrack, which is the front stretch.
And 2 is different, as you can tell. It's a lot wider in 2. Going 3 wide, even 4 wide in turn 2 is no problem, but you can see the way things bottle up here out of turn 4. Even 3 wide is tough.
And going backwards a little bit, Dave Marcaccelli just got back up to 7th. He started a little bit further up than that. He started in 6th, but he had gone back to 8th, got back around Kevin Ridley. Those are the 2 winners from earlier this season. Todd Root pushes up the racetrack, and Tyler Trump goes to the inside for that position. Let's go back a little bit further. We've got 10th place right now, held on to by the 27Z of Dylan Zacharias, and then a good battle for 11th. Willie Decker to the inside. You got Casey Pavlik and the RD3, Ronnie Davis, 32R.
Boy, Ronnie's got some work to do. He is way back there. He's trying to get that outside groove to come in. Sometimes, if it's not fast, you can run up there enough and kind of bring it in. As we take a look at the battle for 6th, Marcaccelli on the bottom, Tyler Trump trying to work the outside of him. That's the black car.
He's pedaling hard. Trump and Marcaccelli came together in qualifying heat race number 3. Meanwhile, a battle for 2nd. Rocky Warner to the outside, and the Flying Squirrel has spot number 2.
And you could see Root's car very loose that time. He might even lose another spot here as Taylor Caprera tried to get down to the inside of him. And there's your margin from 1st to 2nd. Guerreri can maybe start to feel somebody behind him now.
Warner starting to chop down at it right now. The defending track champion in the number 2 spot. He finished in 2nd last week here, but he started in 15th that night. He's in a much better position 7 laps in.
Caprera, again, the preferred group down the bottom. Car running a little bit of rich there. That little bit of flame you saw, that's a fuel that isn't getting burned by the motor. And when they get off a little bit, it goes out the exhaust. So not a problem for him. And you can see now Rocky Warner tried that high line, and it didn't work.
And this is what you talked about before the race got going, Doug. If the cushion gets a little bit too high, a driver that likes to run upstairs may find themselves not being able to get the bite. And that might be the situation in 1 and 2, but he's going to throw it in even deeper. Look at Warner drive up to the top of the racetrack and pull almost even with the 25G off the corner, and he's got the momentum into turn number 3.
And a lot of times it's not that you prefer that. I mean, right now, where else is Rocky Warner going to go? Guerreri offered him the top side, and Warner just drove right by and took the lead. Impressive.
Wow, that was something. He said, all right, I've got to do this on the top.
Ooh, look at
Nick's
him diving
not
that.
getting off the bottom, and the Flying Squirrel gets himself into the race lead and now starts to stretch it out. And you see him move right down to the bottom in 3 and 4.
I'm curious to see if he does the same thing this time in turn 1, because he went really high and then kind of used the banking to drive downhill a little bit and get some momentum. And that time he kept it a little bit higher. Caprera now in 3rd, but Marcaccelli right there now is David trying to make up some spots at his home track.
And a good battle for 6th. Kevin Ridley is using the bottom as well. He got by Tyler Trump. And a battle for 8th right behind them. And Todd Root, the 15, the 99 of Ben Wheeler. Ronnie Davis, the 3rd, now runs in the 9th position as he gets a little crossed up. And Willie Decker Jr. moves to the inside of him for the 9th spot. As they go into turn number 3, Wheeler looking for a slide job on Todd Root. Again, this for 8th.
And we're still dialing in that Root car right now. They think they're almost back to where they were before they had that big crash. And you can see that margin for 3rd. Actually, that looks like it's going to be a 3-car battle for that spot right now as Kevin Root's getting back in the mix.
He's getting racy, isn't he? He's back into the mix in car number 34 and shuts it down, tries to drive to the bottom a little bit quicker. Yeah, these battles are still intense. Ronnie Davis, the 3rd, to the inside of Todd Root. He took a spot away there, and now he's going after Ben Wheeler. So the 32R starting to crank it up just a little bit.
And the cars are changing right now. They've been out there for 15 laps. The tires are heated up. That line you were doing before might not be there anymore because the track's not getting any faster. And look at the pressure right now Guerreri's getting from 2nd from Taylor Caprera.
And Caprera's got a great car, doesn't he, right now? He is the points leader up at his hometown Can-Am Speedway.
Hadn't won up there yet,
but he has not won. You are correct in that. He does not have a win, so this is probably the best run he's got going all year.
Ooh, look at him on the bottom.
He might have 2nd now to the inside.
Well, you know what they say, consistency is what wins championships. There'll be a lot of tracks this year where the guy at the end is not going to get a win, and Caprera, boy, he's coming now up to 2nd spot.
And Marcaccelli's going to try to do the same, although he drives to the outside. What we saw Warner do earlier.
Is that going to work?
The M1 with a lot of momentum, and now he's even with the 25G, and really that's the key, because the top of turn number 4 is usually the place to be, where he's going to try to drive back underneath him, but doesn't have the momentum, and we've got a new 3rd place car.
You know, I thought for a second that Marcaccelli had it in a shear there and really threw it sideways, but got it nice and straight very quickly off of turn number 4. And look at it, put some distance between himself and Guerreri just like that.
Meanwhile, Warner works off of turn number 4, and Doug, there are 7 laps left to go, just like that.
This thing is just clicking off. They're running some very fast laps right now. And one thing I want to see that margin. Oh, you can see second and third now. That might be the only battle here for these last 7 laps. We'll have to see.
Unless a caution was to come out.
Right.
If it does, then we've got a whole new set to deal with. And you talked about some of the lap cars. Rocky Warner going to the outside where a lot of the drivers are unable to navigate right now and keep the momentum up. Boy, you just saw Schilling and Collins, the 2 cars that were at the top of the consi. They came together, and they're closing in on Tyler Thompson's 9018, and a little crossover that Warner's going to have to do on the lap car. And as much as Dave Farney's throwing the blue and yellow flag out at him, that's kind of tough to see that when you're manhandling a race car.
Yeah, unlike a lot of forms of racing, a lot of dirt tracks, they have the blue passing flag, a yellow stripe that runs through it. So when the leader's on you, you know, and you've got to run a little bit harder as we see 4th, 5th, and 6th, and Ridley's found something on the top
Exactly, and we rarely see Ridley run the top here. And he's starting to make the move as he is closing in on his buddy in the 25G. And Doug, we documented it over the first 3 shows here. They work together. They're buddies, but right now they're competitors for the 4th spot.
And, of course, anytime you're running against somebody out of the same shop that you see, 5, 6, 7 days a week, you run a little harder. But I think Guerreri's car's just gone away on him right now, where Ridley's car's really coming in.
Exactly, and Nick's still trying to hang on to a top 5, but Kevin Root's going to apply some pressure for that position here with just over 3 laps left to go. Now it's down to 2, and we got a battle for second.
Oh, Marcochelli just beat Caprera to the spot there. He used the slower car of Jessica Power as kind of a pick there, and he's going to try to keep it low so that Caprera doesn't have room to squeeze in between.
And it looks like Caprera will not have a spot to go. And again, the top is really the place to be. The white flag is out. We've got a new second-place car, but he's about 5 or 6 seconds behind the 1J of Rocky Warner. He only had 1 win here last year en route to the championship. Missed a race earlier this year, so he's not running for the title. But off of turn number 4, the Flying Squirrel is going back to Victory Hill here at the port.
Almost by a straightaway, too, over Marcochelli. And those two, they pit right across from each other, so you know Rocky's going to let Dave hear about this afterwards.
And it looks like Kevin Root was able to get himself back into the top 5, getting by Nick Guerri on the final 2 circuits. So Rocky Warner, one of the best Sportsman drivers and the only professional in the series, gets the win here tonight in another caution-free 25-lap event. We'll visit him on Victory Hill and hear from the winner of our 3rd Sportsman Series event when we come back. We're back here at the Weedsport Speedway where the Flying Squirrel, Rocky Warner, has parked his potent 1J on Victory Hill after a dominating performance in the caution-free 25-lap feature. Let's send it down to Paul Spall and meet the man of the hour.
So Rocky Warner, your Sportsman winner here tonight at Weedsport. Rocky, congratulations. Looked like it took a few laps on the top for the tires to come in, and then once it did, this car was flat out a rocket.
Yeah, I tell you, I've been working with Mike Walton with these shocks, and these Fox shocks has been unbelievable. Matt Hearn, T.O. have been on the phone with them all week, and people think I race a lot. I don't ask questions. I probably annoy them guys more than a rookie does, to be honest with you. I'm always asking questions. You can always get faster, and if you look at that top 12 and that redraw, there wasn't any slouches there. You had to go for all it was worth, you know what I mean? So you couldn't let off at all. You had to give it all, everything we had, and that's what we did.
And in a race like this, you don't really know how far ahead you are of second place.
No, that's for sure. When you look up there and see that one up there, it's usually the M1. You don't want him behind you.
Who do you want to say thank you to tonight?
My guys, you know what I mean? We're busting hump, we're racing a lot, and these guys put on a ton of hours to help me out, get up here. I get a makeshift crew, Troyer, Gary, my regular guys, Buono, my son, Tanner, my family at home, Jake and Nancy Spraker give me awesome stuff to drive, Mike Walton, Fastline Performance, T.O. Pro Car, obviously, Billy Colton with Troyer Race Cars. He helps me a lot. We race both cars, and both of them are on their A game right now.
That's Rocky Warner, your Sportsman winner here tonight at Weedsport.
And Rocky was perfect in those final 15 laps, really from the start of the race. Had a good race car, started in the 3rd position. Nick Guerri would get out in front of the field, but very quickly you had a driver moving up to second in Rocky Warner. Doug, he was battling early and then finally got around Kevin Root on lap number 5.
Well, you mentioned the starting spot. That's a key here. I mean, you're third. You can kind of sit back for a couple laps, watch and see what the leader's doing, bide your time a little bit. But the other guy we were watching here was Taylor Caprara. He was fast on the bottom here.
Yeah, he had a great run tonight. I mean, it's just an awesome show for him. T-Bone got up into the number 3 spot, getting by Kevin Root. And then what a move by Rocky Warner up on the top to just throttle down to get to this point to go around the outside of turn number 4, because if he didn't drive it in as hard as he did in turn 1, he would have never had that move set up. But you could see he could do something up on the top of turn number 1 that nobody else was able to do, except maybe Dave Marcichelli. He was able to get into the mix too.
And Marcichelli here, he sits back there in position number 4 at this point, but he was very, very fast, finding ways again as Nick Guerreri's car was fading.
Yeah, and then there's the move right there. Drive it in hard.
Just like Rocky.
And just keep the momentum up to where you could stay even with the driver down the back straightaway, and then find the preferred groove on the top of turn number 3 and 4. It's one of the things I love about Weedsport is it's not always you have to be on the bottom or always on the top. It's one side one place, one on the other, and that keeps it interesting. How about the lap traffic? That kept it interesting too.
And that's the difference between a driver who can go out to the lead and lose the lead late. Rocky Warner was aggressive in traffic. Again, using that line, he was able to run a line that most of the guys couldn't run tonight.
A driver with 13, 14 wins. He's won at like 5 different racetracks this year. So as Marcichelli was getting up into second around Taylor Caprara.
This was a classic move, by the way.
It was, and he set him up. He went to the outside. But again, this is all coming to the white flag, and Rocky Warner was driving away. I think I have him down for 3 wins at Albany, 5 at Fonda, 3 at Utica. He won a race at Can-Am, at Canandaigua, and now he's got one at Weedsport after rolling off of turn number 4. He's got a bunch of wins, but so does Dave Marcichelli, just not tonight. He came in second, and he's down with Paul.
Second place finisher tonight, Dave Marcichelli, just ran out of laps there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had the best car anyways because he was gone. You know, he was probably a straightaway ahead of me. So I kind of figured going out there that I was kind of racing for second, and that was pretty much how it played out. But, you know, I'm happy. You know, I was able to start 6th with some very good cars in front of us. Everybody here in the top 12 could win this race. So, you know, to be able to finish second, I'm happy with that.
Now, it looked like you actually backed up a little bit before you started moving forward.
Yeah, the top side down at this end wasn't quite there yet, and I was a little bit too loose to run, and like in the middle. And then when I got up to the top, I was too tight. So we missed a little bit on the setup, but we still had a pretty good car though.
Your Sportsman Classic winner follows up with a second place finish here tonight.
And that'll be good for him in the points as well. We'll show the point standings in a little while. But as we look through all the results here, Doug, the ones that really stick out, Taylor Caprara with the fine third-place run. Kevin Root able to get up into the top 5. That was solid. And Ronnie Davis III almost won the championship last year, rounding out the top 10.
Willie Decker Jr. was in the novice division last year, so a good run for him to get a second place here. And I'm impressed with Ben Wheeler, 11th place for a guy. I think it's just his 4th time out this year. Matt Guerreri never really a factor in this one. Tough deal for him. But Brent Sedek also did a nice job in his first race here this year in 16th.
Dylan Zacharias, the final one to finish on the lead lap in 18th. And the other cool thing is you had 26 starters, 25 of them finished the race. Only Mike Prentice pulled off in the 72, but that comes from 25 of the 26 starters having experience here already this season. Let's go back down to Victory Hill and hear from our 3rd place finisher tonight, Taylor Caprara. He's down with Paul.
Taylor Caprara, it's not a win, but it's up on Victory Hill. That's a big step.
Yeah, we're taking. This has been a big step for us just to get up here. We had a fast race car. We rolled bottom all night, and the car felt really good. Fastest it's felt here all year. So we're happy with it, and congrats to Rocky and Dave here. They had a hell of a run, too.
Were you tempted at all to try to go up top?
I don't think so. I mean, often here, I think you pretty much roll bottom. I see Rocky was rolling top pretty good, and I just don't think I was set up to do that. So I think we were sitting where we were, and that's what we had. So
Taylor Caprara with a 3rd place finish here tonight at Weedsport.
So Caprara will move over in front of Warner's car for a top 3 photo, and in the process, Doug has moved himself up into 4th in points. Well, Dave Marcichelli leads the standings over Kevin Ridley by just 2.
Yeah, and of course, you look down below Caprara, you see Root, Barker, Warner, and Guerreri. The 4 of them separated by 4 points.
Now, we're only 3 races in, but there are only just 2 more point races for the Sportsman Series here at Weedsport in 2017. So things are very tight here in the late stages. And this is our final event from the Weedsport Speedway for Speedway Showcase, and we've had a great time here with our 3 Sportsman shows and the season preview. It's been a lot of fun.
It sure has, but you said last race from here, but not last race for us. We got one of our favorites coming up.
And that's from Canada. The Ashwegan Speedway will be showcased here on Spectrum Sports in September. Late models, sprint cars, and modifieds. For Doug Elkins and Paul Small, my name is Rich Fleck. What a night it was here at the Port.